Welcome back, everybody, to Photography Tips and Tricks, your show for gear, tips, inspiration, anything that you need to take your photography to the next level. My name is RC, and this week we kind of want to talk a little bit production stuff, right? It's not necessarily gear per se, but it's about speeding up your production by pre-planning and using X's and T's. So somebody had talked to us a little bit about this, and to do this, I've got to go that way. So we have a shoot, right? I wanted to kind of set up a shoot, and the only thing that I can think of to kind of make it easy for you guys to work with is to kind of just have something that's very, very tabletop. So although the concept of what we're talking about here is being built on a small flash, this can be expanded to something bigger, right? Studio lights and things like that. So we have a client, right? So just one of my daughter's toys. And we figured I'd bring it in, that would work because it stands and it has feet, right? So I'm gonna use, let's see, I have an SB800 Nikon and I have an Oben TT100 desktop flash set on an Oben head. I think that's kind of neat for just like a desktop tripod or a little flash stand. So I'm also using this thing, right? So this is the Rogue, right, XL. Basically what this does is it straps to this thing, and you can use it as a bounce card. You can use it as kind of a bending in, right? You can tunnel it in. You can make a snoot if you want to, right, by tunneling it in. But you can also do this as a strip bang. So I'll just set it down. It comes with this cover here. You just pinch this one side, grab this, pinch this second side, take the dome, put it over the top. Done. A little strip box. Looks pretty good. We'll go ahead and we'll take this. And I'm trying to do this reverse. And I know based on the YouTube comments, everybody's like, stop looking at the big monitor. So I'm not going to look at the big monitor. I'm going to look at you guys. Now, it's all set up. So there's my light. It's all done. Client's ready. This looks pretty good. Now, normally, whenever you're doing this kind of stuff, when you have a client, when you have a child, when you have anybody that you're taking a picture of, time is of the essence. So the more preparation that you do of this stuff before your client shows up, that's key. A lot of the times when people do preparation, what they'll do is they'll have a stand-in, an assistant, or somebody to be able to kind of get in front of the light to get yourself ready. What do? They take tape, or they take something, and they make a mark. A lot of the times, it's usually an X mark. So on the floor, you'll see something that looks a lot like this at any point in time. So that's the X that people are using. Now, what will happen from there, right? They'll take the client and they go, all right, client, well, go ahead, come on and show up. So the client shows up and goes, all right, well, they knock over the light. Oh, here, you wanna see a small tip? Watch this, this is cool. This is a really, really big source. And if you put this in a specific spot, because of just sheer gravity, you see how it kind of knocks it over? All of your light stands, all of the light stands have 3 legs. Take the biggest part that you have here, put it in front, make sure that that leg sits directly in front of this one. By doing that, it doesn't tip over. So any kind of high weight and any of that kind of stuff, it's a little, I know it's a little mini grip tip, but a lot of the times where you put that leg will help quite a bit. All right, so now that's set there. Now your client shows up and goes, I'm ready for my shoot, right? They're ready for the shoot and they could stand like this on the X, right? Which would give you this shot, not necessarily what you're looking for. They could also stand like this on the exact same X. I'll give you that shot, still not what I'm looking for. They could stand like this. All right, same shot. Oh, well, look, they're still on the X. There's not a problem. So a lot of the times when you're using that X, it causes a problem, right? You don't know direction. And it sounds kind of dumb, right? Where you're like, oh, well, you could always just tell them to turn around. Or you could always just tell them to turn towards the light. Or you could always tell them. But when you're making a picture, brevity is key. That's how you look like a professional. That's how you look like you have control over what you're doing. So everything that you do when you're producing a shoot should be to maximize what happens at that shoot. That's where people are using T marks, right? This is a production thing. This has been done for as long as for as long as it's been out there. Matter of fact, if we pulled out and we showed you the floor, you'd see T's everywhere. See, that's the T that I sit at whenever I start the show. So what does this T do? Well, here we have the T, and what the T does is it lets you point out a specific location as well as a direction at the same time. Works very simple. All you have to do at that point is just put your feet in the direction of where those T's are. Basically, one foot goes on one side of the T, the other foot goes on the other side of the T. So in this instance, if I wanted this to work, I would just set my T, and he would say, all right, well, I'm gonna put one foot on one side, I'm gonna put one foot on the other side. I know exactly which direction I wanna go. The light's already been preset, and you can go ahead and you can get a shot that you want. Now, the only thing that I did here for this was I added a secondary light. So I had our floor director, Arnaldo, hold a second light over on the left-hand side, and with that, we got a little bit of edge light, and we made a quick portrait. So the key with all of this stuff is to be able to use things like tape marks. Now, if you're doing a black set, I would not use white tape marks. I would use black gaff tape. If you're doing a white cyc or anything that has to do with white, I would use masking tape. Save yourself a little bit of Photoshop time later by using the right color now. And the key with all of it is just maximizing that time. Making it very, very efficient could make you look a lot more professional. Let's go ahead and do this. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we've got some grip tips. I want to talk to you a little bit about the big announcement for Photoshop World in the Creative Cloud and some contests. Welcome back, everybody, to Photography Tips and Tricks. RC here now. I'm really excited to have Brad Moore here for a live grip tip. Brad, you've got some stands and some stuff here.
Yeah.
Talk to me about it.
So what we're talking about today is grip heads. These things are pretty handy. I'm going to show you a few ways you can use them. So you've got a light stand, and sometimes you want to attach something like a reflector or a flag to it. Well, you can use clamps or whatever, but this guy right here gives you some added flexibility with it. So once it's attached, you can just kind of loosen it up, stick a reflector right into it, tighten that up, and then you can actually move it back and forth so you get some extra flexibility. Got a flag, so you want to keep a light off, some light off of your background. It's got different size like receptacles here, if I can figure out where, yeah. So stick that in, and then you got added flexibility. Then you can attach a light to the stand, but again, you want to move it more than you're able to. So you can stick a pin in it. Then grab your light, stick your light on that, tighten that up, and then you've got added, mobility. Now, one of my favorite ways to use this guy is actually to stick it on, or to stick an extension arm through it. So I would loosen that up. I would put the pin in the end of the extension arm. Sorry, get that loosened up here. So that my light can go on that. And then I can stick this in here. And then I've got even more extension. I can put my light in other places that I normally wouldn't be able to. So that is a grip head. And there's a bunch of different ways you can use it.
Thanks so much, Brad. See, it's a lot of the times of those little types of things that people usually don't think about when it comes to putting gear together, and little pins and little arms help quite a bit. Thanks.
Sure,
so much,
no problem.
All right, so I do want to talk to you about something here. Last week, we announced Photoshop World, right? And we were trying to get everybody to go to the conference, and what we were doing is we turned around and we made a Photoshop World-a-thon. We kind of wanted to give people just a little bit of a scene of what it would feel like or what it would look like or the kinds of things that you would experience at Photoshop World. But as it turns out, the day of, we got a huge, huge announcement. Adobe decided to work with us and provide every full conference pass member a free year subscription to the Creative Cloud. So if you haven't seen this already, this is something that you can take a look at. Make sure that you go to the Photoshop World website And you'll find the offer there. It's Photoshop CC. There's a 12-month Creative Cloud membership for free when you register for this conference. So now, not only are you learning from the world's best instructors, you're also getting software, and you're going to get training, you're going to get networking, you're going to get a lot of fun. There's tons of information that's here. Make sure you take a look at that Photoshop World website. That website is going to be invaluable to getting you up to speed and getting you stuff for free. Now, I also wanted to talk to you about one more thing before we take off, right? Because we had the kind of the model sets and we had everything all set up for our photo shoot. I did take the photo shoot to yet a little bit more, right? We did some more stuff here. So take a look at this right here. We have the picture of the model, right? And we did a shot, and it looks like there's light that's kind of spilling all the way across the model on that one side. And I wanted to talk a little bit about power and how to be able to work with power and finessing power. A lot of the times when you work with a flash, it becomes a question of more power, quarter power, half power, full power, eighth power, 36 power, and you're kind of dealing with most of that stuff. But a lot of the times when you need to be able to make a quick adjustment in a studio, sometimes it's a lot easier for you to either feather a light, right, move a light from one point of an axis to another, or move it back and forth a little bit, using that inverse square law to kind of finesse that light. So in this instance, if you take a look at this, if you were looking from this toy's position, that's kind of where the light would be, right? So it sits probably at around a 45 from the subject at that point. Now, if you move over here, you'll see that the light's a little bit more nuanced, right? It's a little darker, right? So right now, that sits a little bit closer still. It's probably hard for you to see the differences between the two, so I wanted to kind of bring it up here in Lightroom so that you could see them, right? So now, what we'll do here is, I'm just go ahead and grab these two, we'll set them to compare mode, and now take a look. So here, on this side, a little bit brighter. Here on this side, just a tad bit darker. You see that you don't see as much over in this one section, right? And that is directly correlative to these positions right here. See, this one is a little bit more 45 to him. This one, it's kind of sweeping around him, right? The distance is a lot closer. Now, as you start feathering that in, or you start bringing it around a little bit further, you start cutting down that amount of power. So you'll see that there we have, right, it's a little bit more nuanced. This is definitely in shadow, right? So it's kind of throwing over him at that point compared to where you were here in this one section, right? Nuanced, really, really full. What does that correlate to where the position of the light is? There's one, there's another. Right? This is where we started, and moving that light and pushing that light around is creating this kind of effect. That's kind of what I wanted, right? I wanted kind of more of a darker, more of a moodier look, right? I tend to shoot that way. So this is all stylistic. You have to find the style that you want, but that's kind of what I was looking for there. I also wanted to add a little bit of splash of color. So what we did from here is we added that, right? So you'll see that there's a little bit of red over here on this right side. And all that was again, Arnaldo helping me out. He took a second flash and we fired the flash over towards the right-hand side of the wall. Once we had that set, it was just a question of just kind of going through it and going, well, that's not enough. Well, that's a little too much. Well, it's a little too low. Well, now it's way overpowered and you're losing a lot of that blue that we had on the left side. And that looks a little bit, nope, can't do it. And that, he's acting like it's my voice actuated light stand. You'll hear that a lot, a vowel. And I'm telling him a little bit to the right, a little bit to the left, a little up, a little down, to kind of get it exactly where we want it. Then finally, we decided on this, and that was the final shot that we did for that. A nice mix of red and blue, small flash, and we were able to position the subject great. If you like this kind of stuff, if you want to learn a little bit more of this stuff, don't wait for 15-minute increments here on Photography Tips and Tricks. Go to Kelby Training. Kelby Training is the source where you can get a lot of this stuff, and it's available to you there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now, let's take a quick break. When we come back, I've got a website I want you to take a look at, as well as our contest for this week.
Get the world's best photography, lighting, and Photoshop training at Photoshop World. It's 3 non-stop days of real-world training where you can get personal attention and unlimited access to the world's top instructors. Photoshop World, the world's best Photoshop and photography conference.
Welcome back, everybody. Photography tips and tricks. RC here. Now, we have a PeachBit ebook deal. Make sure that you go to peachbit.com/KelbyTV, and there you're going to be able to get 40% off the ebook Secrets of Great Portrait Photography, Photographs of the Famous and Infamous by Brian Smith. Brian Smith is a great celebrity portrait photographer, and he was just on the grid. Great guy, even better pictures. So you're going to really, really enjoy this book, and you're going to enjoy it at 40% off, thanks to the folks at PeachBit. Now, contest time. This is what I want you to do. I want you to go to the KelbyTV.com website right here. Obviously, we have all these shows that you can watch. The one I want you to click on is Photography Tips and Tricks. Go to episode 35. I know this says 34. Go to episode 35, this show. Go all the way down to the bottom. And at the very, very bottom, I want you to leave your name. I want you to leave your email, your website if you have it. I'd love to see it. And a comment. Tell us what you want to see in the show. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you don't like. One of you guys is going to win the digital print. It's a brand new book by Jeff Shewy. Jeff Shewy is really, really good and really technical on working with raw images. He's done some work with Bruce Fraser, the late Bruce Fraser, on DNG processing and raw processing, and now he's kind of taken it in a very Ansel Adams kind of approach, right? He worked on the negative, now he's working on the digital print. So this is a book that I'm really excited to be reading. I've actually just got a copy of it myself, and you guys can get a copy as well. If you're into printing, this is going to be what you're going to want to get. Also, we did it here, right? I just kind of showed you guys how to put together a strip box. Why not? You can get a copy of the XL Pro Lighting Kit, the flash bender itself. This is actually the one that we used, so you can have this one as well. One person's going to win both of those things. Now, the website that I want you to watch is yet another tip, right? Take a look at this. It's not 500px.com/about-RC. That's my website. Somebody will ask. I don't want you to watch me. Forget about me, right? This is what I want you to do. When you're at 500px, a lot of the times, you're looking for inspiration. You're looking for really, really cool things. And what happens is you go to the photo section, and at the photo section, there are certain sections there that are like popular and upcoming and fresh and all that kind of stuff, but that doesn't necessarily show you the stuff that is all-time popular. It only shows you what's popular right now. So that means that that list is going to change. What if you had a way to be able to see the best nature photographers all time on there? This is a little hack that they turned me on to. What I want you to do is I want you to go over to the search, and I'm just gonna bring this over here very quickly. Now, because there was a little nudity, so we're trying to kind of get around that there. So on the 500px site, wherever you are, just click right here in this one section where it says search. Click on that. Don't search for anything, just hit the enter key. The moment that you do that, this secondary menu right here pops up. Photos, all categories, sort by votes, any license. This is showing you the best of the best based on votes. So now, if you want to see some beautiful landscape pictures, all you have to do is go to the drop down for the category, go to landscapes, let it go. That's showing you the best landscapes of all time, not the ones that are being recycled on editor's choice. You want to see beautiful celebrity work? Go over here, go to celebrities. You'll see best of all time, celebrity work. So it's a great way for you to go back in and mine 500px, not the organizing living content that's kind of cycling through, but all of their all-time stuff. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you guys next week here on Photography Tips and Tricks.